Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and this week I've been spending time with a previous Daily Motor Car of the Year winner, the Honda Civic. It's interesting with sort of the new car review game, us YouTubers and writers and magazinists and everything here. You sort of spend a lot of time on a model lineup when it first comes out. Maybe you get in it again after it's been refreshed. But in the meantime, people are still buying them in droves, but yet we're not reviewing them because it's kind of old news at that point. So the Civic did see a very light refresh here, and we're seeing a little bit updated styling, a little bit updated feature set, but in general, this is still the same car that we've known and loved here for a number of years in both base form, SI, Type R, and then the new hybrid powertrain as well. So by now in 2025, they've simplified the lineup a little bit. And for the sedan, essentially you have two options with this base 2-liter powertrain, and then you have two options with the more powerful and smoother and generally more efficient hybrid powertrain. We drove that one in the hatchback earlier this year and quite liked it. This one though is a little bit of a strange model. This is the Sport trim. It's coming in a few $1,000s above the base LX trim, and for that it's giving you some nicer wheels, a little bit better styling, 4 more speakers, 8-speaker sound system, blind spot monitoring, maybe a few other subtle tweaks, but in general, it's still a pretty entry-level feeling car. So I'm going to talk to you about my cons and pros after spending a week with this Civic Sport, and to kind of spoil the end, I don't know if I would pick this trim. But we'll talk about why here at the end of the video. So, starting off with my cons, none of them are on the outside. And in fact, they start on the inside. But when we do open up the Civic here, we take a look at today's video sponsor, LASFIT. Right here, you'll see the LASFIT floor liners. And I want to show you just how much more protection you get from a set of all-season heavy-duty floor liners like these LASFIT liners compared to the factory little dinky carpet mats that you get. Look how this tray style, laser measured and TPU printed here with this kind of durable, flexible material. It goes all around on the dead pedal, up on the sides on either side, and way underneath the gas and brake pedals, which means if you live in a slushy climate, snowy, rainy, anything like that, and you get your dirty shoes in here, everything's gonna collect right in the middle so that you can pop them out and easily dump out, clean out your interior without having to shampoo and clean your carpets regularly. And you can see even the little nubs that Honda provides here to latch in the floor mats. The LASFIT liners sit on those as well, so nothing's moving around. They got little pokey nubs on the bottom to latch them in. And then in the back, if you're using the back for people, kids, things, anything like that, you're going to really appreciate the coverage you get from the LASFIT liners as well, because again, you get this big tray style that goes all the way over the middle hump here. The mats that you get from Honda just come on either the right or left side there. The LASFIT liner going all the way through, pushing right up to the edge, kind of coming back up, tray style on the back, and then going way under the driver and passenger seats in the front, so that again, if people's feet are up there, they're not getting the actual vehicle's carpet dirty. So I really like the coverage here from the LASFIT mats. We use them in a lot of our test vehicles in order to keep them nice and clean for the next guy. If you do want to pick up a set of LASFIT liners for your Civic or other vehicle, check the link below. I get you a coupon, Daily Motor, get you 10% off. Highly recommend it, great value. You don't have to spend crazy money to get reliable, good floor mats for your vehicle. I recommend LASFIT. So continuing on in here, we see our first con. It's not with the interior in general. I actually quite like the interior, but this basic screen here, again, not a problem with the size or the functionality. It's the fact that we don't have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have to use a wire. And that's frustrating to me in a commuter sort of car, because for me, if I'm going to own a Civic, I'm probably using it to get to and from work or class or something that I'm driving daily. It's probably not for a ton of time, so I just want to leave my my phone in my pocket, or in my wife's case in her bag or something like that. I don't want to have to get it out and plug it in just to get my podcasts or my music or my navigation or anything. And this system comes with no sort of apps installed, no navigation or anything like that, so you're going to have to be plugging in order to use it. Now, let me show you here. I do have this product here. This one's by CarPlay. Lux. I think it's probably supposed to just be pronounced CarLux. This is an example of a higher end wireless adapter for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So you can plug it in, and then you could sort of route it under here, or just leave it dangling, maybe run the cable, something. And after about 20 seconds or so, it's going to boot up, and it's going to give me an interface that you can either use its built-in stuff with a hotspot or a SIM card, or you can use it for wireless phone projection. Now, this isn't a sponsored product. They essentially just sent it to me. I have others like this as well that you work better or worse. But you can see here it coming up, and then it gives you this whole Android-based interface that has a ton of applications built in. This is essentially just putting an Android tablet on your screen, so you can install even more apps. You can see it's got Netflix in here, etc., Hulu, and then you can click this and you have Android Auto, which is going to connect to my phone. Now, I don't do video sponsorships that I can't stand behind, so I don't know yet if I can recommend this CarLux system, because look at the resolution it has for Android Auto. And I tested this in my personal vehicle as well, and I had the same issue. I have not been able to figure out how to change this and make it a larger resolution. I've even dug into the Android settings on this box, and it hasn't changed, even though I've changed the screen density. So if I'm able to remedy that and get this working a little bit better, then I could more highly recommend it. Maybe I'll throw the link in the description if I remember, just so that you guys can check it out for yourself. But it's not a cheap product. I think this one's like $200. There are definitely other options I've used that are less expensive. I more just wanted to show it to you as an example of how you can get yourself boxes to remedy the no wireless phone projection. But either way, it's still a con for me that it doesn't come baked into the car that way. Huh. I just realized there are no seat back pockets. What? Seriously? All right, well, I mean, I know maps are dead, but I think that's the first car in a while I've reached back to put something in the seat back pocket, and that's not in there. I guess that should go under a con, shouldn't it? That's kind of just more of a live surprise here for me. But from our next official con, we're going to start the car up. This one giving us the 2-liter naturally aspirated inline 4. And it's interesting, Honda has made this powertrain a bit elusive earlier on. They always wanted to put us in the 1.5 turbos. I understand that. They're trying to give us the fancier models, but I was happy to actually be able to get our hands on this one. I'm okay with the powertrain itself. Works fine enough. What I don't love is the transmission and how it acts. And what's interesting is in cars like that Accord there, and in Civics with the 1.5, I actually haven't minded the CVT. I'm usually, it's not that I'm a fan of CVTs, I just generally don't mind them. But I have to give it to the detractors here with this Civic with the 2-liter, because the CVT does have a frustrating sponginess. And I'll try to demonstrate it a little bit here as we're taking off from stop signs and coming back to a stop. There's that rubber bandy effect that a lot of more enthusiastic drivers don't care for with CVTs, and we're seeing that less and less, so I'm a bit surprised to be experiencing that here in the Civic. Yeah, just a lazy powertrain that doesn't fit the kind of sprightly character of a Honda Civic. And now that you can't get the manual in anything except the SI or Type R, you're kind of stuck with the CVT. So again, I surprisingly didn't mind it as much with the turbo motor. Don't love it here. My next con, while we're idling here at this stoplight, is the fuel economy. This car, over the last 161 miles that I've had it, averaged 36 mpg, but most of that is on my highway fuel economy test last night, where we got 41. Totally good number, that's fine, but it's not impressive from a compact sedan standpoint, from a lightweight, low vehicle like this. And then around town driving, again, across the board, whether it's the EPA numbers, real world numbers, whatever you're looking at, you're getting less than the Corolla, you're getting less than, obviously, the Honda, the hybrid, and you're getting less than the Jetta. You're probably more on par with something that's a lot less expensive, like the Nissan Sentra. Hondas in general tend to trade off a little bit of fuel economy for general drivability. But again, when you factor in the fact that we have this CVT that really isn't that enjoyable to drive anyway, what am I getting in exchange for not getting fantastic fuel economy? At least give me something like a 6 or 8 speed automatic that's a little bit more direct and enjoyable to drive. Then I'd be a little bit more okay with losing out a little bit on the fuel economy. But fuel economy is just acceptable for a car of this size and weight and price without getting any sort of general enjoyableness to the drivability. Next con, coming up here to speed. You're not going to hear quite as much on this section of road, but maybe I'll drop in a little bit from our highway driving on concrete highway. It's the road noise. I noticed it throughout my time with the vehicle, and I don't know if it's just because I needed a palate cleanse after being in the Volvo V90 last week, but it's a loud car, and it's mostly from the tires. So I don't know if it's the type of tires they're using. I don't know if it's a lack of insulation or what, but I can't imagine the LX model is any better. So a little disappointing to have such a loud experience in the car here when I don't really remember that from other competitors in this class. The last con is the price. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when we're doing our wrap up on the car and sort of talking about the competitors, but $27,000-ish for this car, and 24, it's like mid 24s if I don't remember correctly, maybe 25 for the base model. That's quite a bit more from a percentage standpoint than you're paying for something like an Elantra or a K4, which are both more updated, or the Jetta, I believe, is less expensive, and the Sentra, quite a bit less expensive. We got a brand new Sentra coming out, though. I'm not sure what pricing is going to be like for the 26 model, but either way, you're paying a premium for the Honda. And when we're talking about cars that cost maybe $40,000, yeah, a difference in a few grand's not that dramatic. But when we're talking about cars that are less than $30,000, that few $1,000 price point difference, that's significant. And somebody in this class is going to be more conscious of how much they're spending. So it's kind of a shame that you have to spend more and not really get all that much more here in the Honda. And in this class, people care a little bit more about the features you're getting. It's a little less about, okay, I want a car that's going to be refined. It's a little bit more, I want a car that's going to have wireless phone projection, a bumping sound system, heated seats. I want to feel like I'm getting a lot for my money. I just don't know if that argument's there here in this Civic Sport model. Also, again, you hear that road noise? It's there. Coming back here static for my pros, and the first one is the styling. I wasn't not a fan of the Civic pre-refresh, but I do think it looks even better now with the slight front end styling changes, a little bit of a different front mug. I still think this is such a nice balance, this generation of Civic, between youthful and fun, but also mature. So if you're showing up to, a big corporate office like this or something in a Civic, people are going to go, oh, that's a respectable car. You look nice. You look trustworthy, professional, everything like that. But also if you're showing up out, it's Friday night or something, you're going out to eat, you're going to look good showing up in the Civic as well. You can sort of choose different colors, different configurations if you want to look better or worse. I actually kind of like these wheels in general. I'm not a big fan of black painted wheels, but I like the design of these ones. I like the rear lights. I'm fine with the Sedan. I personally would get the hatchback. It's more my speed, but the trunk's got a good amount of space. I like the styling, and I also like the interior styling. I think their choice of cloth and materials works well. Notable absence of piano black plastic in the front, so everything works well in the interior. And I don't want to spoil that because that's actually going to be a pro, but look, from a styling perspective, you have piano black up here. Totally fine with that because you're never going to touch this. But down here where it's going to get scratched up, no piano black. So again, very nicely styled car for just about any sort of shopper. I appreciate that. Next pro might seem a little subtle to some, but you still get a spare tire. I guess Honda realizes that if you are more of the mindset of buying something like a Civic, you probably don't have time in your life to sit around for a tow truck or a repair person if you get a flat on the highway. So they give you a spare tire, even though it's just compact, to get you where you need to go. The next pro, getting back inside, I kind of spoiled it there a minute ago, but it's the interior. I like the combination of how it looks and how it works and how it feels. Listen to this. Very satisfying adjustments, physical controls, clicky, nice satisfying buttons. Admittedly, I think this center area is a bit of a waste of space, the shifter, but it doesn't take up a ton of space. At least you do have some storage up here that's grippy. And look at the size of these cup holders. It's a 32-ounce metal water bottle, and you can shove it in there, have it fit in the center. I like that. That being said, the door pockets, they don't fit in because of the way they're designed, so that's a bit disappointing. It's a nice, again, balance between functionality and styling for the interior. I'm pretty happy with that. Next pro, as weird as it sounds, is this 8-speaker sound system. We tested it independently down below, so you can check out our full review. We also had a members-only sound test on it. It's not that the sound system isn't in and of itself that impressive. We ended up giving it a D+, but for a non-branded, non-top level sound system for this compact sedan class, it's actually one of the more strong ones. If you compare it to something like the entry-level systems or even mid-level systems in the Volkswagen Jetta, oof, this system does quite a bit better. And I think if you were to figure out a way to slap a subwoofer in the rear, it would actually sound pretty darn good for the price point. Our next pro out here on the road is Honda reliability. If you're buying a car that's reasonably priced, you're going to drive it a lot, you're going to want very few visits to the dealership and very little downtime. That's what you're going to get here with a Civic. This is a very straightforward, basic, naturally aspirated 2-liter. It's a CVT that they've been using for a long time in a lot of different products. It's a Honda. It's going to run for a while. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, Hondas haven't been as reliable these days. Nothing's as reliable these days because corporations are all out to suck every possible penny they can from our pockets. But if I were trying to purchase a car that's going to last me 10 years, I'm going to pick a Civic way over an Elantra or a K4 or a Jetta or a Sentra. It'd have to be Corolla or Civic, and I much prefer both the styling and driving experience of the Civic. And the last pro is the Honda dealership network. Again, you have to understand, if you're buying a car like this, I would so much rather be taking it to get serviced or even the purchasing experience or anything at a Honda dealership over a Kia dealership or a Hyundai dealership or a Nissan dealership, even a Toyota dealership. Toyota dealers have been a real pain in the butts ever since the pandemic with all their pricing. They're trying to put markups on Corollas. I mean, come on, get out of here. Just let me buy the car. Honda dealers are notorious for having no haggle pricing, very simple trim structures. You just come in, this is the price, this is what you're going to get. And then again, when you're going in for service, it's going to be very straightforward. Okay, you're here for service A, we're going to do these things. In general, the Honda dealership experience is going to be much more enjoyable than a lot of the other brands at this price point. So you might be in the situation where, okay, maybe you're buying this car for a child, or a secondary or third car in the household or something, and you want to go and have it serviced at the same place your Odyssey and your Ridgeline go in for service. Okay, I totally get that argument. That is definitely a pro. And that kind of brings us into my final thoughts here on the Civic, especially this more base model. I don't think I can recommend this car compared to its competitors for somebody buying an entry-level vehicle for two reasons. One, if you're really price conscious, I don't even recommend buying new. I say go out, get yourself a last model year 10th gen Civic. It's going to be a totally different car, but it's going to provide you nearly the same functionality for many, many years, and it's going to be at a much, much lower price point. Or go out and buy yourself an older Accord, or pretty much pick the car of your choice, but get it lightly used, 20, 30,000 miles on it or so, and save yourself a good amount of money. Your insurance costs are going to be lower, your purchase costs are going to be lower. Your financing might not be as low, but save up a little bit, finance less, and get yourself a loan from a credit union if you need to keep that monthly payment down. So that's kind of if you need to be budget conscious, because again, the LX and the Sport model, you're paying more than the competitors, and I just don't think you're getting that much value out of your payment. If you insist on buying new, go out and buy yourself a Jetta. You're going to save a few $1,000s. You're going to save a little bit of money at the pump, and you're going to have nearly the same ownership experience for the first 5 years or so. Where the Civic starts to make sense to me is in the upper level trims. The hybrid is really, really nice to drive. I like the new hybrid in the Civic. I like the SI. I love the Type R. To me, it doesn't really make sense spending extra money on a compact car unless you're looking for more of a premium experience. If you're somebody, okay, maybe your wife has an Odyssey and then you kind of put a lot of miles on as a business person or something, and you just want something simple, easy to drive, and cost efficient, get yourself a Civic Sport Touring. Get you that nice hybrid powertrain, the Bose sound system, the Android Automotive based infotainment. That's a car that I would like to be in. Essentially, I'm only going to buy a Civic if I'm getting a mini Accord. If I don't need the rear seats and the trunk area of an Accord or a CR-V, then I'm getting a Civic. But other than that, it just doesn't make sense to save money and get a Civic. That's my take on it. It's a very nice, small, almost borderline premium car. And with that, we've got to put the Civic on the Daily Motor leaderboard again, because we've actually driven 2 Civics already this year. The Sport Hatch Hybrid, and then the SI. And interestingly, I actually ranked the SI and the hatchback separately. And you can see the Civic hatchback hybrid is all the way down in 21st place. Where's the Jetta? Oh, wow, the Jetta's in 29th place. Man, I'm coming down hard. But look at this. Mazda 3 hatch premium 6-speed manual, 8th place. I would absolutely take a Mazda 3 over this. I would take a Civic Si over this. Yeah, I'm leaving this down in 21st place there. The Civic hatchback hybrid. I sort of agree. The Civic, it does a lot right, but it doesn't make sense for a lot of shoppers. It's kind of in this weird spot now, and this sport version continues that. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. If I can clarify it all in the comments, let me know. I'd be happy to sort of expand upon my thoughts. I like the car, just doesn't make sense for a lot of people to buy this new. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Civic, check the link below. We've got our fuel economy test and our sound system review, as well as coverage on essentially every other Civic hybrid or Civic powertrain. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.